on now, Oscar de la Hoya. Just because you got your battles with Canelo Alvarez, that doesn't mean an innocent bystander like Edgar Berlanga need to take your disrespecting hits. Edgar Berlanga ain't doing nothing to you. You feel me? Just because he ain't signed to you when he was a free agent, that doesn't mean that you got to go out there and devalue his pay-per-view event, because it's also his pay-per-view event. And a young fighter that look up to you. Let's not forget, Oscar de la Hoya, that you was a voice to the American Latinos. You was the first crossover voice for the American Latinos. I'm talking about the Latinos that was born here and their parents was born in their Latin countries. You know, like Mexico, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Peru, Panama, you know, Ecuador. Shout out to all the Latin countries. You feel me? You was the first voice. So Edgar Berlanga is one of those guys that's fall under the tree of you. The Edgar Berlangas, the Teofimos, the Bam Rodriguez, the Virgil Ortiz, the Danny Garcia, the Americanized Latinos. You gave us a voice. We was like the stepchild in America. You know what I'm saying? Remember that time when you was going at it with Julio Cesar Chavez, and they was calling you fake Mexican, and now you going out there trying to call him a fake Puerto Rican and stuff like that? Come on, Oscar de la Hoya, you know that wasn't right. Now, Oscar de la Hoya have earned everything. 6th Division World Champion. You know what I'm saying? A Hall of Fame as a fighter and going to be a Hall of Fame as a promoter. Done a wonderful job in the sport of boxing, in and out the ring. Now, Oscar de la Hoya tweeted, "I'm the pound-for-pound king, and Canelo versus Edgar Berlanga fight would not exceed 100K homes. Nobody is paying $90 for this snooze fest. Just speaking the facts, as always." Edgar Berlanga replied to him, "What the F, Oscar de la Hoya? You was happy here." That's a photo of him when they had a meeting with Edgar Berlanga and trying to sign him. And of course, by trying to sign Edgar Berlanga, you know that you was fetching for a potential fight with Jaime Munguia or Canelo Alvarez, and especially around the time when Canelo Alvarez was working with his own. So why the beef for Edgar Berlanga? And ladies and gentlemen, why is the beef for Edgar? Why y'all mad at Edgar Berlanga? Why everybody's trying to be mad at Edgar Berlanga just because we all, yes, wanted to see Canelo Alvarez versus David Benavidez. Yes, we wanted to see that, but that doesn't mean that Edgar Berlanga should be disrespected and should be hated because he was in position and his team did a wonderful job in putting him in position to get the biggest fight and the biggest opportunity that you could have in boxing, and in facing Canelo Alvarez, the king of boxing, the future Hall of Famer, the 4th Division World Champion, super middleweight undisputed, King Nello, a.k.a. Cartelo, a.k.a. Cash Nello, a.k.a. Payday, a.k.a. Get the F out of here, man. If you feel like he's too green for the opportunity, if you feel that he's not going to have a chance to beat Canelo Alvarez, is one thing. If your prediction is that Canelo Alvarez is going to wipe the floor with Edgar Berlanga, that's one thing. That's a prediction. That's what you believe. But that doesn't mean that you got to hate on Edgar Berlanga's chances or got to hate on Edgar Berlanga's opportunity, because this is the biggest ticket and the best opportunity you can have in the sport of boxing. And he's in position to do so. We want to see David Benavidez versus Canelo Alvarez. Why? Because David Benavidez was in a mandatory position by the WBC. Well, guess what? Edgar Berlanga's in mandatory position in the WBA. Just like, hey, I didn't really want to see the fight with him and John Ryder, but he was in position in the WBO. Right? A lot of people ain't want to see the fight with Williams Skoll, right? But he was in position in the IBF, and that's why they took the belt away from Canelo Alvarez, because they didn't want to face him. It is what it is. You can't be mad at the opportunity and the reason why these other fighters in the opportunity to get a Canelo Alvarez fight. And it might not be your ideal matchup, but you can't hate on it. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you like this, man. I know that these two guys been going at it, Oscar de la Hoya and Canelo Alvarez. I hope these brothers could just sit down, hash it out. What's the problem? ¿Qué el problema? What is the problem? Like, for real. I mean, Oscar de la Hoya Golden Boy Promotion has done wonders for Canelo Alvarez. And if Canelo Alvarez, he can't be ungrateful. He can't be un mal agradecido. También when it comes to Oscar de la Hoya. And I think that now Oscar de la Hoya just want to speak up and really want to devalue and discredit Canelo Alvarez and really want to shit on everything that he's doing right now. Yet at the end of the day, the young fighters just taking a hit. Guys that doesn't necessarily need to take that type of disrespect from a legend that people do look up to you, Oscar. Don't let your hate, you know what I'm saying? Like, really try to ish on everybody else that really doesn't deserve it. Edgar Berlanga doesn't deserve for you to ish on him. You know what I'm saying? Just like if he would have fought another young fighter, you know what I'm saying? They don't deserve for you to do that. And this is why boxing is where it's at. There's no trust, there's no momentum, there's no respect from the old heads and the young with the old heads. You feel me? A lot of people talking about why boxing is not where it needs to be, right? If the casuals, look, the hardcores educate the casuals. And if the hardcores is always gonna hate, and the credible people in the sport of boxing, the relevant voices in the sport of boxing is going to devalue just because they're not part of the show. And every promoters does that. They devalue everything in the sport of boxing, but then they're the money, they're the bag, they're the bank in the sport of boxing. But you can't have Oscar De La Hoya downplaying no Edgar Berlanga, but yet he wanted to sign them before. Come on now. I bet in the meeting you ain't say, hey, guess what, Edgar Berlanga? You a fake Puerto Rican, but we're gonna try to make this Jaime Munguia fight, and we're gonna push this Puerto Rican and Mexico rivalry, even though that I know you was a fake Puerto Rican. You ain't going at Edgar Berlanga trying to sign him like that. So why do it now? Why do it now? Why do something that you know it hurt your feelings when people said that you was a fake Mexican? Come on, Oscar De La Hoya, you better than that. I'm a huge fan of Oscar De La Hoya, but I gotta speak unbiasedly, logically, and objectively. Edgar Berlanga's in position, and people, you don't have to believe that he could win, but that's a guy that you have to congratulate that he's in the position where he's at today, and the position to get a Canelo Alvarez fight, because everybody around 160, 168, probably 175 would love to share the ring with Canelo Alvarez. That's an opportunity at this point because Canelo Alvarez is a living legend. Why get mad at Edgar Berlanga? Because it's opportunity. Translate that in your respective lives. I'm mad at you because you're in position to get a good job and get paid well. You did what you got to do. You fought to be in that position. That's not given. He fought to be in that position. He had a win to be in that position. You know what I'm saying? So, Oscar De La Hoya and Edgar Berlanga is going at it in social media. Hopefully, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's unfortunate that these old fighters, legendary fighters, doesn't have respect for these young fighters. Hopefully it does more than 100K. I will buy the pay-per-view because I also believe that Canelo Alvarez is worth every dime. Because if it wasn't for Canelo Alvarez, I think that boxing at this side of the pond will probably be in a life support. So I'm grateful for Canelo Alvarez, and I'm going to keep supporting Canelo Alvarez because he's great, just like I supported Oscar De La Hoya. Hey, and maybe the statement may be true. Maybe it won't sell that much. Maybe it doesn't do it for people. Maybe the Puerto Rican and Mexican rivalry maybe is overblown or something like that. Yeah, in the end of the day, Edgar Berlanga is in position for the biggest fight of his career and the biggest opportunity of his career. And in the sport of boxing, you never know what can happen. You never know there's an upset. And Edgar Berlanga has the power to upset anybody around that division. But Canelo Alvarez got the chin that he could get hit with a power punch and it doesn't faze him. In the end of the day, in the history of the sport of boxing, we've seen our greatest fighters that we admire take L's that we never thought they was going to take. Maybe this may be the fight that Canelo Alvarez look like a totally human and just a decent fighter, not a great fighter. We don't know. And maybe this decent fighter in Edgar Berlanga becomes a great fighter overnight. Let's see. That's the beauty about boxing. We never know what's going to happen. And the guy that Oscar De La Hoya, you have everything in the sport of boxing. You do not have to bring down the Edgar Berlanga just to get at Canelo Alvarez. You're bigger than that and you're better than that. You are an ambassador to the sport of boxing and loved by many and many fighters. Don't lose that relationship you have with these young fighters that truly look up to you. You're a role model and you set the tone, especially for the American Latinos. You opened the door. You was the first international voice for us. Come on now.